we're going to be making connections, okay? So, there's 3 types of connections: text to text, text to self, and text to world. A text to text connection, you connect a text to the characters, setting, or plot of another text. In a text to self connection, you connect a text to personal experiences that you've experienced. And text to world, you connect a text to world events or current events. This is a crazy world we're living in right now. So there's lots of connections that we can make because we're all kind of crazy, right?
Experience to help them understand what exactly it is that they're reading. Good readers rely on their schemas.
There's few guarantees in life, but one guarantee you better doggone believe is that I will be utilizing Rikki-Tikki-Tavi by Rudyard Kipling. What an awesome hook! Then to show something from the Smithsonian Channel, which is focusing on a mongoose and a black mamba and a viper and a cobra going at it, and seeing the mongoose walk out like an OG. The big theme from today is that you should never overestimate your limitations. Don't try to think you're all that in a bag of potato chips, because the fact of the matter is, on this planet, you'll be humbled faster than you know it. Rikki-Tikki-Tavi is off the chain because it's a fable, because you have characters that are actually communicating using linguistic vernacular. And this takes place in India, and it's just so cool because it's short, and there's one big conflict, such as Rikki-Tikki-Tavi trying to protect the British family that's living in India. And there's a lot of old-fashioned language, such as the word lame. I had to explain that because you and I both know that if someone's acting lame, they're acting pretty jabroni-ish, if you know what I'm saying. They're not acting up to snuff, and they're kind of basic. But the word lame in the text provided an example for me to talk about being weak or being injured. And Darzee, who is a bird that was trying to pretend that she was injured with a broken wing that supposedly Teddy had thrown, she really tried to trick Nagina, the wife of Nag, the snake, the cobra, into believing that she was injured so that the mongoose could attack Rikki-Tikki-Tavi. This fable was an awesome representation of the fact that you should never overestimate your insecurities and your insufficiencies. One thing I'm glad about is that when I introduce It's All the Fault of Adam, which is a Nigerian folktale, it's going to be off the chain because it gives me an opportunity to introduce many different diverse folktales from the continent of Africa. I can really make my books, my text that I use, very multicultural and very diverse to expose a lot of these students to just different texts, different text structures from around the world. Awesome opportunity. The African continent folk tales that I'm going to introduce: Why Do Mosquitoes Buzz in People's Ears? Hot Hippo, A Story. Then I've got The Village of Round and Square Houses and Who's in Rabbit's House. And don't mind me, many of these are Caldecott winners. Concretely, if your students see that you value thinking maps and non-linguistic representations, you know what? They're going to be more apt to use them. I love thinking maps, non-linguistic representations, because it shows how I think. Thinking maps for me is a way to illustrate my thinking, but also to increase the level of engagement I have in my classroom. So it's putting that microphone in each child's hand and telling them that their voice is important and it's equal. One thing I'm going to be jacked about next week, I had to push back It's All the Fault of Adam, which is a folktale that I was going to introduce because I want to do an accelerated reader blitz. I have the entire National Geographic reader collection. So for level 1, I've got over 35 different texts, such as giraffes, Pope Francis, just diverse topics that some of my kids are going to be highly engaged and interested in. We've got level 2, we've got pandas, sea turtles, prehistoric mammals, bees, deadly predators, Abraham Lincoln, volcanoes, planets, Alexander Graham Bell, Frederick Douglass, monkeys. So many high engaging topics that they're going to be reading about. So the blitz is I need a lot. And you know what? I'm thinking quantity and quality. Quality nonfiction, where I can introduce nonfiction text features, but quantity in the fact that this is a series that is very diverse and very complex. And there's a lot of quantity to this series. Now level 3 is very cool, and the fact that they're a lot thicker, and typically most of these are hovering around 3rd, 4th, 5th grades, which is appropriate for some of my higher readers, my more endowed readers. So what we have here, we have Cleopatra, Cats versus Dogs, Elephants, Great Migrations, Albert Einstein, Whales, Bears, Deadliest Animals, Butterflies, and many more. One of my favorites is Ibn al-Haytham, which is an Arabic scientist from many hundreds of years ago who actually developed an understanding for the scientific community about how we see. So it's another opportunity for me to incorporate diverse scientists, diverse books from different cultures from around the world, because the kids deserve it. I'm jacked about the shared inquiry that we're going to do tomorrow, because the shared inquiry to me gives a mic for every student in your class, and it can give your students who are not your best readers a great opportunity to speak their mind. What I've found in my history of doing shared inquiry is that some of my more endowed readers, the ones that have great competencies in reading comprehension and fluency, they're some of my worst participants in a shared inquiry because they can't think critically and they cannot compensate. And most of my lower level learners, they have learned to compensate, which makes them extraordinaires in the art of the shared inquiry. The asking and answering of questions, the participation in group work, the passing of the mic, if you will, learning of the ebb and flow of a conversation, a group conversation, if you will.